Hello, welcome to another episode of Connect with Ivy Tech. I'm your host, Phil Quinn. I work with the marketing department for the Richmond, Connersville, and Rushville campus. Welcome to this edition of our show where we're focusing on student graduates. That's what we're all about. Those completions was what we call anyone that finalizes their time at Ivy Tech with either a degree or a certificate or a technical certificate. They have achieved something, and who better to talk about that than some of the students that the professors recommend that we talk to. And so each of the students we focus on today, just know that they have impacted our professors' lives much in the way that we hope that we've impacted them. Our first guest with us today is Elijah Mays. And Elijah, you're getting ready to graduate. For some people watching this, they may be talking to or listening to you and I talk about someone who's already graduated. So let's talk about what it feels like to hear those words that you are an Ivy Tech graduate. Tell us how that feels.
I mean, it's just a great feeling, Phil. I mean, I've worked hard for where I'm at now, and I've took a lot of college credits in high school, and I thought that I was going to be here at Ivy Tech for 2 years, but I just had to take 1 year, and I'm supposed to transfer to Purdue this fall. I got accepted into Purdue, so that's a really exciting feeling.
That's tremendous. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Let's talk about in high school. What made you decide that you wanted to start taking some dual credits where you could be able to qualify for some classes at Ivy Tech?
I mean, my freshman year I was kind of unsure about it because I thought that you had to be in a certain career pathway and have to have a certain degree to be able to take dual credit classes. And then my junior year they changed it for anybody and they just count towards your college credits. And I didn't have enough to get a package, so I figured that I'd go ahead and go to Ivy Tech. That way I could go to college for a fraction of the amount of money instead of going straight to Purdue, and all of my college credits would be accepted and I could get a degree a lot faster and cheaper than going directly to a big campus college.
Right. So obviously we see the shirt, it says agriculture, but what is your completion going to be in? What are you actually going to be able to walk across the stage with?
It's going to be a transfer degree. It's going to be an applied science and agriculture degree, and that's the degree that transfers directly into the other colleges.
Okay.
So,
well, and getting into that process of being able to transfer to Purdue, was that pretty seamless, pretty easy?
Yeah, it wasn't too awfully difficult. Okay. I mean, and most transfer students do get accepted a lot faster than a student going directly from high school, and that made me feel a lot more confident with the decision and what I was doing with it. But it was pretty easy. I had a little bit of help, and I mean, that's what I love about the Ivy Tech environment. Everybody's out to help you, and I mean, if you need help or just a little nudge somewhere, you can just go and ask anybody and there'll be multiple different people try to help you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you and your background. Where did you graduate from high school, and tell us a little bit about you, about yourself.
Well, I graduated from Connersville High School in 2018, and I'm really interested in the agricultural side of things. And in high school, I participated in FFA, and this is what really encouraged me to figure out what I wanted to do. I competed in every competition, every area that I could find to figure out what I was passionate about. And as I was younger, I stayed at my great-grandma's house a lot, and we always picked up apples, and they had a tree that grew up from seed that my great aunts and uncles, there's 13 of them altogether, they went and dug up and they ended up planting it at the house, and well, now it stands 25 to 30 feet tall, and it's always loaded with apples with little care or maintenance, and that's the only variety of tree that there is because it grew up from a seed. And well, my great-grandma always talked about my great-great-great-grandpa had 3 different varieties of apples growing off one tree, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever growing up. So I took and I looked into it, and there was my teacher, which he really helped me, Mr. Gabe Nobby. He's the ag teacher at the Connersville High School. Yeah. And he's what really pushed me to find what I was interested in and passionate about. And well, I did the demonstration, and actually my professor now, Scott Caldwell, he was one of the judges. I had 5 judges, and what grafting is where you take piece of scion wood from a tree, a variety that you want, say a red delicious, golden delicious, and they have these root stocks. And since it's a fibrous root system, they can take and cut a tree down that has a hardy root system and mound up sawdust over the suckers that grow up after the tree's been cut down. And then over the winter, those little root stalks will shoot out roots, them suckers, and then you take and move the sawdust and cut them off. And since it's a fibrous root system and not a taproot that goes straight into the ground, you can plant it and be able to use it as your new root system, and you take and cut it off and line up the cambium layer, which is the growing and healing layer, and you put the edge of the bark, line up the edge of the bark with both your root stock and scion and wrap them up with tape, and then it'll grow up to have the same kind of apple as the tree that you took that limb off of. And
whoa,
that's a lot of information.
It is, but what do you see? How do you see this leading to your career? Because clearly, learning about this as a young person growing up, now it's part of you, and now you're going to take it and get into a career with it. What would you like to do with this knowledge?
I'd like to create like a part-time business sort of thing.
Okay.
I've ordered 150 root stocks from a company out in Washington, and I've got 11 different varieties of trees that I'm going to graft this spring, and I'm going to raise them up to about 2 or 3 years old, and I've got pots and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm going to raise them up and sell them because I already know, and I think that's a problem. You can go anywhere and buy a fruit tree.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's the purpose there? And I feel like a lot of people want to buy fruit trees from me because I'm passionate about it and have a purpose, and there's a reason. And I've created that new variety of my granny's tree, which she passed away about 2 years ago now. So, yeah, it'll be, and that's the thing with plants and stuff. They get people's last names, and that's the name of the tree. So with the different varieties, that's where some of the names come from, and it's just, the genetic diversity is just a great thing to have, I think, with growing crops and trees and anything.
Well, we want to wish you all the best. That sounds like I don't know, it shocks me. I even know part of the story, and I'm still listening to you talk about this, Elijah, and it's fantastic. You were in school with us at Ivy Tech. We've just got a couple minutes left. You were in school with us as we're building this greenhouse. And now the greenhouse that's attached to McDaniel Hall on the Richmond campus has got a lot of activity happening in it. How exciting for you to be able to see this greenhouse get built and then see it stocked, and you're doing some work in there too.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I love to see the kids, instead of being in a small classroom with a enclosed environment, they get to go into the greenhouse, and it's more hands-on activity, and I believe that that's where the best learning comes, is whenever you can go and do hands-on activities. I mean, because you don't know and you can't learn until you actually do. You can read about it all you want to, but until you can't put 2 and 2 together until you start participating in those activities. And with Scott, he always talks about how that whole McDaniel Hall building is going to be his one day, and I believe it because he's just had the greenhouse there for a few months now, and I mean, it's already full, and we're looking for more space and room, so it's really exciting.
Want to wish you all the best. Good luck at Purdue, and hope you enjoy graduation and able to soak that in for a second, and then I know you're going to get started on this possible business, and we have to have you back on the show when you're ready to harvest that first crop of apples. That'll just be fantastic. Elijah Mays, when you think agriculture, don't just think about tilling soil and what you might think as a traditional farmer. There's a lot of science involved, lots of careers that are involved in agriculture as too. And Ivy Tech, second only to Purdue in the number of graduates in the agriculture programs across the state of Indiana. So it's great. Elijah, all the best.
All right.
We've got more of Connect with Ivy Tech, our student grad edition. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back to Connect with Ivy Tech. This is our student grad edition episode, and we're grateful to have Brandi Farmer. Brandi's been a guest on our program before in a student leadership position, and now you get the rare opportunity to walk across that stage with a degree from Ivy Tech, but you also get to talk to us at graduation as well. So congratulations on that honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just to pull back just a little bit about your decision to go to Ivy Tech. Why did you decide to do that, and what are you going to end up walking across the stage receiving?
I decided to go back to school. I was a stay-at-home mom for 18 years. My oldest son had moved out. My youngest daughter was starting school. So we had some dark days, and there were some things that I needed to work through, and I thought that going back to school would give me something to focus on while also helping me build my future and work through some things.
Right.
And I am graduating with my Associates of Science in Human Services. I love it. It's probably the best thing I've ever done for myself.
It's amazing, and one of the things when you are walking through the halls, or maybe you are talking with some of the faculty or staff at Ivy Tech, everybody is so appreciative of the work that you've put in. And they talk often about, when somebody knew that was coming in, they said, hey, if you need a student perspective, talk to Brandi Farmer. She'll tell you, Brandi will tell you, she's got not just a great story, but also a great passion to also talk to future students that come to Ivy Tech. What do you want to take this degree and go and do?
I'm still deciding on the exact passion that I will follow with this. I really just want to spread kindness in the world. I want some understanding. I believe in the importance of coping skills, problem-solving techniques, things that I think help us get us through those dark times, and all of us, regardless of who we are. There are times where there's struggles and there are obstacles. I just know now that you can change that just by taking responsibility, being self-aware, and knowing yourself. So those are some of the things that I would like to share.
Yeah, and so what are you doing right now? Are you working somewhere right now?
I am substitute teaching.
How was that? Tell us about that.
It is honestly probably, I love it so much.
Now, there's not a lot of substitute teachers that say that.
I love it. I have had 4 children. I've had the experience of dealing with all different kinds of personalities, but I truly appreciate the laughter that these people bring into my life. It's a different perspective every day. They just make my heart smile, really.
And you don't let them get away with too much, though, right?
No, I'm actually, I have boundaries.
Okay,
we can
all
have
right.
a good time,
Good.
but I let them take their shoes off sometimes in class. But as soon as we have the first instant, put your shoes on, and then the next time I haven't had that problem. That's not always going to work, but I'll take it while it does.
That's great. So tell us about how you got to the position where you were asked to speak at graduation, because that is obviously a very tremendous honor.
It was a great honor, and I was thoroughly shocked when they called. I had to apologize for certain language because I was so caught off guard. It was, I guess that I have studied hard, and the people at Ivy Tech have shown me a lot of support. I have been able to make a lot of connections. I have been able to do some speaking presentations and have those experiences. And my GPA is a 3.91. So I think all of those things kind of helped.
And again, this, you talk about your GPA. You've done all this while also having to be mom, spouse. I mean, you've had to have these dual roles. How important is it to maybe folks on our end, on the faculty and staff side, what do we need to know when it comes to making sure that we're there for students? Of course, there's the education component, but are there other things that we can do as a staff to make sure that this is a great process for all of our students?
I honestly feel this is one of the things I love the most about Ivy Tech. They were thoroughly supportive through all of these things. They offer wraparound services now to the students. I felt that anytime I had any problems whatsoever, if I reached out, emailed, let them know what was going on, they were willing to work with me. Those are always things. Life does happen. But they were also supportive. They also sometimes had to remind me, do you really want to give up? Is that really an option for you right now? And I was blessed to have the experiences and the professors that I did, because every single one of them showed me that kindness while also giving me a great education.
So maybe outside of the classroom, what's one of those things that you're going to remember about your experience at Ivy Tech? Maybe one of the, I don't know, maybe something that function or event or some lesson learned maybe that you didn't have to learn while being inside one of the classrooms?
I would definitely say the work study with the foundation was a great opportunity for me. Look into those. I recommend it for everyone. Not only does it give you an education, I was lucky enough to do it with the foundation, which is philanthropy, which is what I'm interested in. I also was able, though, to learn professional etiquette, which I had not been in a workplace before, and it was done in a manner that was not judging. I never felt weird about asking a question. Okay. You'll learn all types of things. Also join a club, SJA.
Yes. There you go.
Do other things. It's very important.
Brandi Farmer, of course, your time at Ivy Tech has been, I think you've made an impression on us. Obviously, we've made an impression on you. Is there some advice, if there's maybe somebody that's kind of sitting on the fence, trying to decide, man, what can I do? What should I do? And oftentimes we'll have students that have a lot of life experience before they come to Ivy Tech, and other times they're just getting ready to graduate from high school and make that choice. We want to make sure we're there for both kind of types of situations. What kind of advice would you share with someone who may be trying to wavering whether or not to take the leap to go to Ivy Tech?
To come to Ivy Tech, I would definitely say do your research, look into it, find the positives of starting school right now. Talk to other people that have attended Ivy Tech. Come in and also speak with the staff. They will definitely show you that they're here to help. And I also say that, well, I don't know where I was going to go.
That's okay. Well, so the next question is, you've been working on the speech, all right? So how's it going? Are you nervous about delivering? Are you working on time? Tell us a little bit behind the scenes on what you might share with us.
I have probably worked on about 900 speeches. I'm just kidding, but I currently have 3 that I have narrowed it down to. I want it to be original. I would like to make some sort of an impact because this is such an honor, and I'm thrilled to have it.
Yeah. Well, we need to know if we need to brace ourselves. Should we bring tissues? Should we have them? Are you gonna try to draw some emotion out of the audience?
I definitely am trying to draw some emotion out of the audience.
Okay,
I also, though, I'm a humor kind of girl.
Okay.
So I might throw a little emotion in there, but I'll try to bring it back with some laughter.
Well, laughter through tears.
Right. That's how I live my life. No.
When you are getting ready to walk across the stage and be handed that piece of paper that proves all of the work that you've done, what are you going to be thinking about?
I think there's probably going to be many things that are going through my head. It is emotional. I have worked hard for this, but my family has also worked hard for this. They've put in a lot of time and they've stepped up a lot, my friends. And I know all the people that are there, they feel the same way. So I just feel that it's just going to be a beautiful moment, and I'm going to just try to stay in the moment and enjoy it.
It's the first graduation for me that I wasn't involved in wearing something. So I'm excited, more or less, to hear some of the stories, to hear the student speaker, and also at this year's graduation, Sue Ellsperman is going to be there, and so we've got to impress her too, right? I mean, the president's here. It's fantastic. So. Congratulations on all the work.
Thank you.
And all the best to your family. I'm sure that they have been there. And goodness gracious, good luck on the substitute teaching thing while you're trying to figure out the next steps, because I'm telling you, that's yeoman's work right there.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Brandi Farmer is one of the student leaders from Ivy Tech and going to be graduating this spring. We'll be back with more of our student edition of Connect with Ivy Tech in just a moment. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Connect with Ivy Tech. I'm your host, Phil Quinn, and today, this is our student grad episode. We're excited to be able to talk to different students getting ready to walk across that stage and get that diploma from Ivy Tech. This is Chloe Studebaker, and Chloe's getting ready to graduate. What are you getting ready to walk across the stage to receive?
My associate's degree of applied science and agriculture.
Okay, all right. And what would you like to do with that?
I'm going to be transferring into Wilmington College in the fall, and hopefully receiving a bachelor's degree. I am planning to major in agronomy with a minor in animal science.
Oh, fantastic. So talk a little bit about what does that job do? What solutions do you want to solve?
Well, an agronomy degree can go a lot of different ways. Basically, it can go a lot of ways in the basics of it can go into seed companies, it can go into farming, it can go into a lot of different things, but I plan to hopefully get a job with a seed company or something like that. Making big money, hopefully.
That's right. How did you get to Ivy Tech? How did that process happen for you?
Well, I wasn't a kid that wanted to move away from school or from home at all, and then I decided that I would go to school because I was like, I need to do something, and so I came to Ivy Tech, and I've decided to do this, and now I guess I'm transferring away from home, and
Right.
I'm scared and nervous, but here I am.
That's ready to take on that next step. Was there one exciting class, or was there, I don't know, some professor that you got a better kick out of being with as a student in class, or one experience that you're going to take away from here that you remember best of anything?
One of my favorite professors has got to be Scott Caldwell.
Oh yeah.
Another favorite professor is definitely Steph Hill Alexander.
Yeah.
She's the speech professor. I
Yeah.
still talk to her a lot to this day. Like today, I've used her to my advantages because I'm doing a speech tonight. So guess what? I've texted her a lot this week. I'm like, hey, Steph, I need you to look over this paper, please. And she's like, it looks good. You're doing great. Just practice. And I'm like, I don't practice. I'm a procrastinator. She's like, oh, my goodness.
Do you see, when you first meet some of these educators and faculty and staff that are at Ivy Tech, there's that kind of that teacher and the student thing, but as you work through the classes and you get through the schedule, do you end up seeing them more as friends?
Yeah. There are some professors I haven't really cared for, but there's
It
others,
happens.
I mean, I've gotten along with better and I still talk to this day.
Right.
There's some that are just like out there, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like I've had them, bye-bye, never see you again.
Hey, that stuff happens. You know, we're not matchmaking. We're just trying to make sure that
Yep.
we're getting the credentials that we need. Is there a piece of advice that you, being someone that's been in this community, being someone that has decided to take the next steps and go to a four-year school after taking some time and taking classes at Ivy Tech, is there some advice that you would give to a prospective student, maybe somebody that is sitting there going, boy, I know I need to do something, I'm just not sure what. What advice would you tell them to do?
I mean, if you could come into a school like this and you can make your networking connections with people that you are going to have somewhere along the line, you're going to network with someone like yourself or someone like Scott or someone like that's in like a degree area where you know you're going to be ending up. For example, I have been networking with Harvest Land Co-op people because that's something Scott encourages. Then I say that you go for it because in the future that may impact me or it may not. It may help me along the line, but I say that you use it to the best of your benefits and the best of your advantage while you can.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any better way to kind of say that, for sure. So you're going to be getting ready to walk across the stage. I know you're doing a speech tonight.
Yep.
That's for sorority?
It's for the Phi Theta Kappa
Okay. Service
Honors
group?
Society.
Yeah, all right. And you get ready to finish that speech. That's obviously one of those important moments. And then get a chance to walk across the stage. I was asking our last guest, Brandi Farmer, about that. As you get ready to be handed that piece of paper, that document that says, I've got proof that I've done a lot of work here, what are you going to be thinking about?
In my eyes, I'm going to be thinking about, okay, 2 years done, let's get the next 2 years done. Like this degree, at this point, this degree is just a piece of paper. I want the next one.
Right.
Like, I just want to get the next 2 years done and get it out of the way at this point. Like, okay, I've done 2 years, I'm halfway through it. I've got to get the next 2 years done. Like, now I'm taking on a much bigger journey in life. I'm moving away from home. I'm going to not have mommy and daddy there every day to hold my hand and give me, here's money when you need money. Here's, take your medicine, Chloe, do this, do that. Like, I'm going to be living by myself. I have to concentrate and focus, and like, for me, that's a lot of big steps in my life. So I'm just like, okay, now I need to really get my head in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about professors and probably some students in the agriculture department that you've gained some relationships with. We'll have some friendships down the
Yep.
road, you think? Yeah, sure. Okay. Question, because a lot of times when we talk about working in ag, is that industry changing from being a male-dominated group to now being a little bit more balanced with men and women both taking part in that field?
I mean, in the agriculture world, it's still very male-dominated. I think as times grow, there will be females in it, but it still needs females.
Yeah.
It's still as you're walking into it right now, at my age, it's still male-dominated.
Okay.
And like, I'm getting an agronomy degree. That's something that's still very, very male-dominated.
Okay.
So, like, the first thing my dad says was agronomy. That's male-dominated. The first thing he says is, we need a female to do that. We need a female because they need a female because, well,
They just do.
Just do.
Yes, they
because
do.
You have your old farmers and
Yeah.
they need a female.
Well, if it's been male-dominated, Chloe, Studebaker, I got a feeling that once you're there, it's not going to be dominated by them for very long. I just don't see you taking a backseat to anybody and what they do. We want to wish you all the best. And as you walk across the stage and as you take that next step, know that your Ivy Tech families will be with you. If you
Thank
need
you.
something, you let us know. And certainly our best wishes to you and
Thank you.
congratulations. As we get ready to wrap up this edition of Connect with Ivy Tech, while we only got to talk to 3 students, there are certainly a lot more that have as equal and an amazing story to tell. If you want to learn more about how you can be a student at Ivy Tech, you can go to ivytech.edu/Richmond. Also, for the folks that watch this episode in Union City and in Connorsville at some of our other public television stations, know that there's always going to be somebody there to help in your advising and get you through the process of financial aid, making sure we're picking courses, and then it's about the amount of work that you're putting in and making sure that when you need help or assistance that you're talking with the faculty and staff at Ivy Tech. Thanks again to everybody and congratulations to all those graduates. Again, our ceremonies are May 11th at Richmond High School, the Tarrant Center. There's going to be a lot of green on that floor that's got a lot of red and white. It's a great opportunity to come and see the success in this community. That's going to wrap things up for us today. Again, thanks to our students that stopped by. They're adults and they're taking on the world, and we couldn't be prouder. We'll see you next time.